Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
How is everyone today?
Very well.
Good. I just realized I don't have my lights on. Hold on. It's awful dark in here.
There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
How is everybody doing?
Excellent.
Excellent is perfect. Okay. So I have 9:30, so we're going to jump in and we'll see if anybody else joins us. They can catch up. So let me start. I guess we're already recording. So good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Inner Circle Success Call. I'm excited about today's call. Of course, we're going to do celebrations and answer questions. And then we also will spend some time today on planning for 2021. Can you believe it? It's hard to believe that it's literally the middle of October already. So let's start with some celebrations, and then I am going to open it up for a couple of questions just in case anybody does need to leave early. And I want to make sure you get questions in if there's anything that we need to cover right away. And then we'll jump into planning for a while, and then we'll close with more questions. Make sense? Okay, cool. So
I didn't know we were doing planning today.
Sorry?
Did you send something about planning today?
I didn't send anything. No, I'm going to give you the forms on. I just put it in the Facebook group, I guess. That we talked about it last time that we were going to talk about planning. Start talking about planning today. So anyway, so what is everybody celebrating today?
I am celebrating new opportunities just coming my way, and I am really excited. And it's really fun, a little overwhelming, but super exciting.
Well, good. And Judy and Laura, I know you know Nicole. Lisa, have you met Nicole? Okay, Nicole, you want to introduce yourself?
I am Nicole, and I am Sherry's assistant. I'm also Laura's assistant, and recently have talked to Judy about collaborating. So, yeah, I'm just all around.
So we all keep her busy. Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Nicole and I have been working together. I think December will be our 3-year anniversary, Nicole.
I think so. It's hard to believe we're coming up on 3 years.
It's very.
And I've been doing it for 7. I can't believe I've been doing it for 7.
Yeah.
So it's wild, and every day is a great new opportunity. So I'm.
Good. Well,
yeah.
I asked Nicole, or invited, I should say, Nicole to join us today and for the planning section, because obviously she has a business as well, and so I want her to get the opportunity to think a little bit ahead to 2021 for her business as well. So she'll be joining us for the next at least couple of calls. Okay, so great celebration. Who else is celebrating something?
So I am celebrating a multitude of things. One is that we're this close. Nicole and I are actually talking later today for being able to launch the Mindful Mom Mastermind and the communication that goes out. So we get to do the making sure all the individual pieces actually go together in the way that we imagine. So that's exciting. And I'm also celebrating that we had a big scary moment in my family where my youngest son has been sick, and he's had all of the signs of COVID. And so he's not been getting better. And they sent him in for a test, and to watch your kid go into a hospital not being sure if they're going to come back out again ever. Right. But he came back out. He seems to be fine. He's been totally cleared. So it's some other mystery thing going on. So I'm celebrating that. So those are my celebrations.
Well, we will send him thoughts and prayers these days. It's like, you don't want to get sick because you never know what it's going to be, right?
No, and the irony is that he's probably left the house a dozen times since March.
Oh, wow.
Right. So our big thing is like trying to get him out of the house. And so it's like, how could he be the one, right? The rest of us are out and about.
Well,
but yeah, so.
Cool. And I just want to also mention that on Laura's launch, actually I'm going to acknowledge both Laura and Judy because they've both done launches recently. And I was just blown away by the quality of the content and the emails and the value that is in both of their programs. And I know Lisa's working on hers to launch in November. And so I just want to acknowledge you for that. And Judy, literally, well, actually, I'll have her share her celebration. But yeah, I just want to acknowledge you both for that, because the quality of the emails was awesome. And I can't wait to see the people that you support.
Yeah, since we met last month. Well, seems
Yes,
like,
that is
oh,
correct, Judy.
really? Okay. Wow, so much to celebrate. Yeah, I did a webinar, and then it had medium results, and then Sherry suggested doing one, like a few days right after that first one, which I never would have thought of. So I did the second webinar, a repeat, and 9 people showed up, and 3 of them signed up. That was a
Yeah, which is
surprise.
awesome.
Yeah, really awesome. And then yesterday, another celebration was I had a virtual coffee day with someone, a friend connected, her friend, and he signed up for a private program with me. I thought it was just a, connection meeting.
Yep.
So I wasn't prepared for, talking about my program or, enrolling him.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Sometimes that's the best, because then we just talk. We just come from the heart, and the heart knows what to say. That's perfect. And the other thing I was going to add is a celebration for Judy that she may not recognize herself for, is this woman basically taught herself ActiveCampaign and ClickFunnels and launched her first webinar, which is not the easiest funnel, and program in the space of about 2 weeks. I mean, it was amazing. So yes, definitely a huge kudos for the amount that she took on and learned. And I just want to mention the reason why I had suggested that Judy do another follow-up webinar is her first webinar was awesome. And there were some things, particularly on the close, that I really felt strongly would make a difference for her in terms of converting. And when it's fresh in your head, there's kind of no better time to do it again. So as she said, all we did was send out basically versions of the same emails, another couple emails, got another group of people that either hadn't read the first ones or couldn't make the time to say yes. And it ended up being 3 new people in her program. So sometimes it's just that little thing, just, don't hesitate to redo things, because we think, well, I just did it. But somebody wasn't able to make it the first time for some reason. So congratulations, Judy.
Thank you.
Very cool. Awesome. How about you, Lisa?
I'm really happy to be here. Sorry I missed last time. I had a photo shoot, which was also fun, but I missed you guys. So yeah, I feel like I have several celebrations too. One of them is kind of on a personal note. I've been going back and forth with this house about it being for sale and what to do. And I prayed and prayed that it would just pause. I just want 6 or 9 months. And so that's what's happened. It's been taken off the market. My landlord came back and said, we're going to pause for 6 months. If you want to buy it in that time, it's yours. And I just my whole nervous system got to relax. So that, informs my business a lot too. So.
That is so awesome. Congratulations.
I know. It's amazing how magical we are as creators, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I want to buy this house. I want to buy this house. Wait, I don't want to buy this house. I don't want to buy this house. So be mindful of what you're creating, my friends. But on a business note, it's kind of an interesting celebration, but I'm not as busy as I have been. And that is feeling so good in my body. I really needed some catch-up time. So I really also created more space. And it's funny because now I have the more space. And I think when our nervous systems are so jacked and wired and performing that I'm a little like, I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for today to get really clear about how I'm spending my time now that I've reclaimed it in some ways. I want to say that my last client who I charged the highest amount I've ever charged is probably having the best results of anybody I've ever worked with. And I just really got that affirmation that the more they pay, the better results they get.
Yeah.
Because they're holding better results for So I was like, the psychology of it is definitely there. And so I'm celebrating being able to witness that. And it's like she's navigating so much on her own. She's just in full flurry. So it's really beautiful.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, and I've been invited to speak on 3 virtual stages, and that is super exciting because that's the next step of where I want to take my business is really
Yeah.
speaking. So, yeah, so there's lots of moving pieces and parts. My new assistant is rocking my world
That's
all
awesome.
the best ways. I just gave her an old PDF, an old ebook that I had created years ago, and she reformatted it. And she's also a graphic designer by education. Like, how did I get so lucky?
Mhm.
And it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I mean, seriously, I'm just like, holy shit, what did you just do? So that's inspiring me to be like, what else can I create that she can get in front of
Yeah,
to bring into the world? So I'm feeling good. I'm happy to
that's
be here.
great. That's
Thank you.
awesome. And you didn't mention that you implemented a price increase with clients that had prices significantly below where you want to be. And that's not an easy feat. So I just want to acknowledge you for having the courage to do that.
Thank you.
And the last we talked, in most cases, it went pretty well, correct?
Yeah, it's gone pretty well so far. I'm still announcing to the list at large because the price
Mhm. Yeah,
increase is in 2 weeks. But yeah, I didn't mention it because I think I mentioned it last time. But yeah, I feel the up level of that, and I feel really comfortable with it now, which is probably the biggest celebration.
absolutely.
And I'm like, yes, I am worth $500 an hour and more, and that's
Yes,
huge. So thank you.
very huge. Awesome. Great celebrations. Okay, so um, before I hop into planning, we're going to probably spend about a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, depending on how it goes, on planning today. I want to make sure there aren't any burning questions in case somebody does need to leave early or whatever that somebody wants to jump in on before we hop into planning. Anything burning?
Yep, I hope it's a quick one.
Yeah.
So I have a new client starting a 3-month engagement. He
Okay.
starts on Monday.
Okay.
Uh, do I bill him on the day that he start, the anniversary each month of the day he starts, or the first of the month?
Well, what I do is I always take payment information when they say yes and charge them that day. And the reason I do that is because you're never as excited about taking action as the day you say yes. And if you don't charge somebody and a week goes by, if it's a week before you can schedule your first call, for instance, there's time for that buyer's remorse, if you will. Whereas if you get somebody into, yes, I'm committed, then the chances are less that they're going to go through that. They still may go through that, and that's okay. It's why it's important that you get them in action right away. But I always charge them literally on the day that they say yes, unless there's some special agreement. Sometimes somebody will say, well, I need to move money from my whatever account. So can you charge me on Monday? And I always honor that. So generally I charge them that day. And then the system, I use Stripe and ClickFunnels, automatically bills them basically that same day every month.
I see.
So it's always on the same day. Now, the only exception to that would be if you have a very specific program that has to start on the first of the month and ends on the 30th or whatever, then you can delay it. But frankly, it's almost more work than it's worth. So what I will tend to do, and frankly, I know Laura and Lisa have kind of experienced this. I tend to be a little lenient, probably too lenient, most would tell me at the end of my programs. And so if somebody started on the 20th of the month and we've got a call on the 25th, I just let people attend the rest of that month. It's just easier to kind of be a little bit flexible with people.
Okay, thank you.
That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Any other burning question, Lisa?
Yeah, just a short one. I actually forgot that one of my questions was automation of payment because that's really been sloppy in my world.
Okay.
So you do Stripe and then ClickFunnels. Can you just describe that quickly?
Yeah, ClickFunnels is the alternative to Lead Pages. It is a little bit more expensive. than Lead Pages, with the primary difference being that it also has an ability to house an online course or simple membership site within ClickFunnels. And you can also do webinars within ClickFunnels. So it's one step more all in one, but it's also first phase webinars and membership site. It's not something that you're going to use forever. I'll put it that way. But it's very similar to Lead Pages. But it also allows you to do order forms, and you do recurring payments and one-time payments with Stripe as your merchant processor. So you literally create the order form right in ClickFunnels.
So you can't create it right in Stripe. Like you can create them in PayPal, but you know.
Right. That's exactly the difference between PayPal and Stripe. Is in PayPal you can create a PayPal invoice, but it's a PayPal invoice. It's not a Lisa McCardle invoice.
And it's not an auto pay. It's like, does the PayPal invoice request money, or does it automatically charge?
It depends on how you set it up. You can do recurring payments in PayPal. But I believe, unless it's changed, don't quote me on this one because I haven't used it for a long time. It used to be you had to pay $30 a month to PayPal to be able to do recurring payments. We need to verify that now. Yeah,
so
Laura.
It's funny because I'm in the exact same thing, like in terms of how to have payment for the membership.
Yep.
And Stripe allows you to like set, well, anyway, PayPal, what I found out yesterday, because I set something up, was that it's very clear that the person can decline to pay. So the person is in control if you do it that way, right? So that it sends it, and if they don't pay, they can say like, yeah, no, I'm not paying that. And then you might not know that they didn't pay it. So you have to track it. So it's not as effective.
My membership is set up through PayPal, and that's not how.
And that's not.
No, it's a
Yeah.
subscription, and it auto generates. They can go in and cancel the subscription, but they don't need to approve the payment. And it's in PayPal, so I would look into that.
Yeah. Well, so do you pay the one where you're paying for PayPal, or is it the free one?
The free one.
It's the free one.
It is.
Excellent.
So
because
mine
was saying.
Is it a business PayPal or a personal PayPal, Laura? Do you know?
It's a business PayPal.
And Lisa, do you know with well, it should be the same. It's almost got to be a business one. I think to do recurring, it has to be a business one.
It's a subscription that you attach it to. It might be a different funnel. Or different...
Maybe that would be a good thing, Laura, to check. Is in PayPal, is there a difference between subscription and recurring?
Yeah, I'll check that because I was surprised when it came up. And I do know that in a subscription service for the other business I work in, is that somebody can say like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like they can, so maybe what it is really they can end it. They can decide to terminate the subscription.
Right. But
so if they've signed up for 6 months, then they can say after 3, I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What you're saying. Yeah.
But Lisa, what you're saying is that you don't think that they have to approve each payment each month.
No, it's auto-generated. I mean, I've been doing it for 6 months now.
Right.
It auto-generates. Some people are like, how do I cancel? So I had to get a really clear link to take them to the subscription to cancel. But it auto generates each month and pops in on the same day. So that's great.
Okay. So then your question, Lisa, about ClickFunnels and Stripe is coming from wanting to move away from PayPal and having PayPal invoices, or just in general?
My question is for monthly payments for my clients. So the PayPal's handling the subscription piece for the portal well, but I need to get my people who are paying me monthly on an auto generator because I forget payments. Mm-hmm. It's just the stupidest thing in the whole world.
Well, no, it's just one of those little details.
I'm not calling it stupid. It is the most inefficient way to run a business. Yep. Let's just be clear.
So is there a reason you wouldn't set it up the same way you did your subscription?
I guess it's because I didn't set up the subscription, and I perceive that to be linked through like the membership. They go in and they generate it and they set it and they enter their information and then it automates. I want to go in and enter their credit card information on my end.
Okay.
I want to set it up on my end because they give me their credit card, and I just think it's the least they need to do, the better. Mm-hmm. You know, that it just happens.
Absolutely. Yep.
So I don't want to give them a whole thing to have to fill out. I just want to do it for them.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where I'm stuck. And maybe I need to explore PayPal more in that.
Well,
But-
and actually, there may be an easier way. If you're entering the payments in yourself, entering the credit card number in yourself, get a Stripe account, which all of you should have a Stripe account, and you do, right? So even if you're not using it, you should have one, because it's a great backup if PayPal starts holding your money or something. And you can enter the information yourself in Stripe. And so what you do is in Stripe, you set up, they call it a product now. They've changed their terms. I think they call it a product now. So you set up a product that is, let's say, a 6-month coaching agreement. And you tell Stripe it's 6 payments of, whatever it is, $1,000. And then when you go in, you enter in their contact information, and then you add a subscription, they call it a subscription, to that client's account. And then you just choose it, and then Stripe will automatically charge them each month. So you don't have to do anything in that case. You don't have to have an order form if you're entering it in yourself. The only time that order forms become really important is if you're doing like your membership program, where you're doing a webinar, and at the end you want to give them a link to go to an order form for them to sign up. You're not signing them up individually. But you could use Stripe for doing what you're talking about, Lisa, and just have it come directly into Stripe and create a 6-month member subscription or whatever for your coaching or whatever it is, and go from there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Any other burning questions before we jump into planning? Okay, so I am going to share my screen here, maybe. That's interesting.
I had a hard time sharing my screen the other day too.
Okay, let's just do it this way, and we'll make it a little easier today. Maybe if I can get this over. Let's see, I guess I can do. I'll do it this way, so it'll be a little bigger. Does that show up okay? Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about planning today, and nobody likes to plan. I'm going to say nobody because it's a general term, but I actually love to plan. I love kind of setting goals and the bigger the better, and figuring out how I'm going to get there and those kinds of things. Sometimes I'm not so good on sticking to them. I have to be the first to admit. So one of the quotes that I love is a Zig Ziglar quote, and it's, "You can't hit a target you can't see, and you can't see a target you don't have." And it's so true. So many of us in our businesses, we kind of go through life kind of saying, yeah, someday. It's kind of like there's no someday on the calendar, right? So the magic of just setting that freedom goal, that's one of the first things that you do in the client attraction course, is so huge in having you start to set a stake in the ground. And when it comes right down to it, all planning is building a roadmap for yourself where you can see the path to get to that vision that you've created. So, and we're not going to talk about vision letter today, but it's one of the first steps. So I use what I call the profit planning pyramid, and there's 5 steps to it. Big surprise, I have 5 steps to most of my systems. So the first thing we do is establish your foundation. We'll talk more in depth about these. Then you start your goal setting. Then you start sequencing your priorities, so you kind of know what you're going to do when. And then you just design, okay, now I know my priorities. How am I actually going to make them happen? And you start getting down into the near end goals. And then finally, you actually implement that results plan. Probably should be implement instead of create. And that's where we use like the results planner that most of you have used. You're using a daily to-do list if that's the way you work. That's literally the day-to-day. What are the next 3 steps that I need to accomplish in order to make the plan come true? So the key is to make it easy. If you make planning hard, then pretty much none of us will do it. I've told this story often. If you were ever in corporate, which Laura was in corporate, I think Judy, you were in a corporate kind of job, right? I mean, we started planning in October for a fiscal year that started the next June 1. And literally, we would plan from October until middle of February. And it basically was a 100-page document that sat on a shelf. And it was you know, it was kind of useless. We always used to say the plan was obsolete the minute that it was done. And that's not the kind of plan as an entrepreneur that you need. You need something that's easy to do, easy to create, as well as easy to use as a tool day to day. Because if it isn't, you're frankly not going to use it. So the first step, as I said, is the established foundation. We're not going to do the work on this today because all of you have done this, or if you haven't done it, maybe need to update it. The three elements of the foundation are your vision letter, which all of you have done, your mission, which all of you have done in step one, and finally your year in review. Now the year in review is a tool that I'm curious, I don't know, Laura and Lisa, you've done the year in review, right? No? Okay, well, I'm going to put it in. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think so. So
Okay,
I'm looking forward to it.
You might have given it to me and I might not have done it, in full transparency.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so how have I lost chat? There it is. I did see your chat too, by the way, Laura. Okay, so I am going to put the link to the year in review in here. We're not going to do the year in review today, but I'll show you what it looks like and then give you the link here. Okay, so the year in review is a pretty simple two-page document. Stop and reshare because I got to do. And basically, it's a way for you to take a look at the rearview mirror and to look at over the past year, what has happened and what do I want more of and what do I want less of? So it's some simple questions like, what are the 10 things I'm most excited about that have happened this last year? What am I proud of in terms of my accomplishment? How did it feel when I accomplished those things? The things that I wish would have happened but didn't are. So getting clear on what were the things that maybe didn't quite come to fruition. Where did I make the most personal and professional progress? What do I want to do more of next year? And what do I want to do less of? Because what we want to do less of is just as important, right? And then I always come up with if I summed up the last year in just one word, it would be, and unfortunately, I'm going to say the word that just came to my mind was chaotic. What I see possible for next year is, and this is a place for you to start leaning into that vision for your next year. And then finally, what are 10 things I want to accomplish in the next year? Okay. So I just put this in the chat. Definitely click on that link and download it to your computer, and would definitely encourage you after our call today to go in and do this. It doesn't take that long. I mean, it's a great little journaling exercise, but sometimes you're surprised, or at least sometimes I'm surprised at the things that come up that maybe I didn't expect. Okay, Nicole, sounds good. So yeah, so the things that come up that you maybe just don't expect to come up. Then the next thing after you have done your year in review, the one thing that the year in review leads to is that last question is, what are 10 things that I want to accomplish in the next year? Those 10 things can kind of become a brainstorming list to start in the next step, which is what we're going to focus on today. Which is goal setting. And there's two things that make up goal setting. One is annual goals and one is milestones. Now, annual goals is pretty self-explanatory. It's what are I say 3 big overriding goals that you have for the next year. Let me go there. And they can be either cumulative, meaning I will hit, $200,000 in revenue in 2021, or they can also be date-based. So they can be like, if you have a specific goal of I will achieve $10,000 a month for 3 months in a row by June, or something like that. That's more a date-based goal. Or I will have 100 members in my membership program by July 1. They can be more date-based in that sense. That makes sense? Okay. They have to be aligned with your vision. So it's one of the reasons why we start with your freedom goal, and we're going to actually revisit that in just a minute here. And they have to be measurable. Now, I always say that the 2 goals, if in doubt, your first 2 goals are your income and your number of clients or number of members, or kind of a client-based goal. And then your third goal can be that big audacious goal that you have for something that's not a specific revenue kind of number-based thing. It can be like something like, I will launch my membership site and have 100 members by June 30th. That would be a measurable goal, but it's not a direct, it's an indirect revenue goal, but not a direct revenue goal. And excuse me, just as with any goals, you want them to be stretched, but also realistic. If you're at $100,000 a year now, you know, $1 million could be possible, but you probably wouldn't say 10 million, right? Okay. So any questions on that, on annual goals, before we kind of pop in? I think this is one you guys have done this enough. I think I can go pretty quickly on this stuff. Okay, so annual goals. So the one thing I wanted, actually, before I go into this, I do want to take a step back. The freedom goal that we came up with, and some of you have been with me, Lisa and Laura have been around quite a while. I mean, I remember when you did your freedom goal, but remember the freedom goal was made up of your personal expenses, your business expenses, your savings and reinvestment, your lifestyle goal or your lifestyle account, and then of course the tax man. Have any of you updated that recently? Judy, it hasn't been that long since you did yours. Do you want to take just a minute to revisit that, the freedom goal, to get clear on what your monthly revenue goal is going into 2021?
Mine's still hanging on my wall right here, and it's the
Love
same.
it.
So I'm good. Do you want
It
me
is
to
the same. Okay, how about you, Laura?
Mine is still the same as well.
Okay, and Judy, you feel good about where you were? Okay, cool. So everybody has kind of an annual revenue, or excuse me, a monthly revenue goal in place for 2021. So as we go into annual goals, there's a couple of examples I want to give you. So this is an example of Kelly, and her goals were to create a minimum recurring income of 10K per month by September 1. So that's more of a date-based goal, that she wants to get to a 10K a month by September 1. So she's probably early stage at this point. Design a business model and strategy that can be executed in 30 hours a week to be home with the kids after school. Okay, so that's more of a lifestyle goal. So, but it's also measurable. You know, she's working 30 hours a week, she's home with her kids, so it's very measurable. And create and launch a group program with 12 clients at a time that meets income goals. And looking at this right now, I probably would change that, and instead of that meets income goals, I probably would put a number in there, would make it a little bit stronger. Okay, so another example is Mary, and her goal was to create an annual revenue of $75,000 for 2021, and that would be a cumulative goal. Create a consistent base of 100 membership site members by June of 2021 and 150 by year end. And create a content database of 50 weeks of new content. And she was membership site driven by year end. Okay. So those make sense? Can you see how they kind of fit into each other too? I mean, she can't really have 100 members in her membership site unless she has content. She can't get to her 75,000 unless she has 100 membership site people. So they kind of fit together. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to put a document in the chat again. And I want us to start with setting your goals. I just realized that link is not going to work because there's spaces between it for some reason. When you click on that link, it doesn't work, does it? Let's see if this works. Try that and see if it works. Never, this is just a hint. I don't know why, but I've got spaces. This is a Word document, so I've got spaces in between it, and it doesn't really like it when you paste it. Is that open?
I pasted the original one and just
Okay.
took out the space.
Okay. So Judy, you got it? Okay, Lisa, it's not working for you? Let me see if I can. Are you getting an error, Lisa?
I'm getting a page not found.
Okay.
I copied and pasted, but I can't find the space. So let me try some more.
Okay, I'm going to try to. Let me see if I can do it this way.
I got a PDF to open up.
You got it? Okay. Okay, I think that link I just put in should work now too. Okay. Okay, so the first page of in that file is the where's it at? If you go to page 3, that's where your annual goals and milestones. So the first 3 things I want you to write in your annual goals, and just a draft of your annual goals for 1, 2, and 3. You must, I said must is always a loose term, you know, with me, but you really should. Should is also not a good word. Have an annual revenue goal. That's kind of a non-negotiable, if you will. I'm going to share this. And then the other 2 goals can be 1 more client-based and or 2 that are more program or, you know, like for Lisa, for you, it could be a number in your membership program. Could be number of masterminds for you, Lisa. It could be number of clients for you, Judy. Think about just what are the overriding goals that you have for this next year, and type those in or write them in the annual goals. And I'm going to give you about, I'll give you about 3-4 minutes here, and then we'll come back together and share. And I'm going to follow along with you too. So my printer's not working. Let's take 1 more minute, unless you're done. If you're done, raise your hand. Okay, so let's stop there and share with me kind of what was coming up for you. Anybody have a big, bold goal that they want to declare?
Oh, I did my freedom formula. Is that what I forgot what the
Yep.
term is? Yeah, the freedom number. And my annual revenue is lower than that because I feel like that's too high.
Okay. Okay.
Like I want to do it incrementally.
Yeah, well, and when you're starting, you're a little bit newer in your growth. So that can make sense because if you're at 0 and you want to get to 10K a month, you're not going to go from 0 to 10K a month next month, probably. And I say probably because it can happen. But it is probably more likely that you're going to go from 0 to 3,000 to 6,000 to 10,000, right?
Mm-hmm,
So if it takes you 3 months to get there, then you're not going to be at 120,000 for the year, unless you start today, which you should, of course. So that makes sense. So one of the things that you could do is either, when you're in that growth mode, you can either, instead of setting a cumulative goal for the year, you can set a target. So you can say, I will reach my freedom goal of X thousands of dollars per month by March, or whatever the timing is. Would be another way you could do it. It's kind of whatever you're most comfortable with. So if your goal is 10,000 a month, that's 120 a year, and you want to set your goal at 100,000 cumulatively, that's one way to do it. Or you can say, I will reach 10K by March 1st or May 1st, or whatever it is.
Yeah, my freedom goal is 9K a month, and then I put in my annual goal as 5K a month.
But it's okay. So those don't track necessarily for me. So 5 times 12 would be 60,000 a year. But your freedom goal is 9,000. So what would be stopping you from if your freedom goal is 9 and you want to get to 9, I'm assuming sometime during 2021, correct?
I don't know if that's realistic, Sherry.
Okay, what would make it not realistic?
I don't know, actually. It just seems like a big leap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your program, you just launched a program that you beta tested at $9.97, and the new price is going to be what?
$14.97.
Okay. So this is a great example of where the revenue planner can be really helpful. Because remember when you did, Laura and Lisa, do you remember the revenue planner? It was an Excel file where you can put in
3 scenarios.
Yep, and do some scenarios. The revenue planner is one of the tools that you can use in the numbers part, because sometimes we make up that it's going to be too much of a stretch to get to a number, when the reality is, when we're selling relatively high ticket programs, it doesn't take that many more clients to get to those numbers, right? So, if Lisa is moving from her old price to $500 an hour, her income can go up pretty fast, right? So it's the same for you, Judy. I would just encourage you to look at your revenue planner again. And then the other thing I would do is, if you're trying to average it out, instead of saying my goal is $5,000 a month, then I would say I want to reach 10,000 or 9,000 or even 7,000 if you really are thinking you can't get there by a certain date, versus pulling all the way back from 9 to 5. Because mentally, the universe is going to hear I'm averaging 5K a month, and it's going to be kind of a ceiling for the universe.
Okay.
Because then if you're at 5K a month, well, you hit your 5K a month. There's never going to be that extra oomph above the 5K a month. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything that came up for you, Lisa or Lori? Lori, why did I call you Lori? Laura.
I would love to give some voice to my audacious goals, because I feel like giving voice to them activates them. So my annual goals are $1,000 in revenue.
Love it.
My book is done, published, in my hands, and in the world.
By when?
That might, yeah, that's a good, interesting question.
That would strengthen the goals just to add a by when at the end,
Okay.
because that
Let's
puts that
say
stake in the
by-
ground.
Let's say by June 1st.
Love it.
That's a lot to do. Okay, we'll say by June 1st. It's interesting because my body's like, I don't know if that's possible. But anyway, we'll leave space for it. I have 111 plus members in my Soul Powered portal. And it's hard for me to say this, and I think that's part of the healing, or the thing is that I really want 50,000 followers on YouTube or on my social. And it's hard to say it because it feels like it's ego, and it's actually really truly not ego. It's that I watch this woman who shows up in the world very much like I do. And she has these 50,000 followers on YouTube. And I watch her put these talks or these activation calls out for like $11 or $15 and have 500 people sign up. And it's like this impact that she is having. She's not doing anything different than what I do. If anything, she's like less polished in some ways than what I am. And I say that to be really in the call for, I want that level of service in this world.
Yeah,
And it's hard for me to say it because it feels like it isn't about influencing. It's about influencing, but it's not to be an influencer. It's truly because I believe the messages that come through are that important, and I want them to be received at that level. So it is like my truth. So that's me. Thank you.
I love it. It brings tears to my eyes. I love it. I love it. And like you said, it's the 50,000 followers is the tool. You're the messenger. That's awesome. Awesome. Love it. How about you, Laura? Anything come up for you?
Yes. So I have a little bit of Judy in me and a little bit of Lisa. I can resonate with both of those, like looking at the number and saying, okay. So mine is 155,000. And my other goals, so one was to be able to run, to be able to really create the framework and run Mindful Mom Masterminds and run concurrent ones.
Mm-hmm.
Right, to really have that be, I after trying all of these different things, right, of what do the moms need, like it's really clear to me connection with other moms like them. So I'd love to be able to do, like, I'd love to be able to do that. And then I have a number of generating, like, so having them running concurrently by June and generating, and this is where the math that I'm doing right now doesn't work out right, because that number's lower than what I want it to be. So I get to look at that. I get to amp up the value, the perceived value, and the trusting that I'll find the moms that can use the support and also can afford the support.
Yeah. Or do 2 levels of membership is an option, big option for you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, right. So like a mastermind one could be once a month versus twice a month, or you could offer a membership site where I'm curious what that would look like.
Well, it could be like more like what Lisa's doing, where she has a base membership that's currently 37 or 47. I get mixed up with you, Lisa.
I just dropped it to 27.
Okay, so 27, and then a $97 one.
Yeah, they're 2 levels.
And the 97 one has an extra call that they get that has individualized readings. So it could be something like that, where the base membership is we haven't even talked pricing, I don't think, yet, Laura, on the yes we did, that's right. So you decided to go with 97 a month?
Yes, but as I'm actually putting it all out there, the number 127 keeps coming to me.
Okay.
So I believe that's what I'm gonna go out with.
Okay, so that if that's twice a month, then there could be something where there is a higher level, that there's a once a month one-on-one call with you, or there is access to online trainings, or it could be a lot of different things, but it's just something that basically gives them a higher option.
Yeah. So my goal would be to figure that part out and begin to run them concurrently. And then my other big goal is really getting in place this membership site. Like I have this vision for the sound healing that I do to be able to be out in the world in an easy way.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally see a membership site serving that, because that number $27, it's like, yeah, it's like for $27, somebody can get a live one every month and access to a whole bunch of recordings. And it's also the mechanism for me to really get clear about, I think in my mind, like a lot of times my sessions are hour sessions, and I think there'd be a lot of value to actually sitting down and coming up with the list of, like, you know, crystal bowls for blank, like for shifting out of something or for creating something, and really having them be more consumable, like 10-minute chunks rather than, you know, the full on. So that's where I'd like it to get. And those numbers, it's actually kind of funny because it's a lower number, but the volume can be so much higher, right? So having 100 members by July and 250 members by the end of the year, you know, then that's over, you know, $50,000 that comes in through that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's you know, I'm just a little bit off topic with planning, but that's one thing, because we've got Lisa and Laura both in membership platforms. That's the one kind of yin and yang of membership sites is, do you want a lot of members at a low price, or do you want fewer members at a higher price? And there's not a right or wrong answer. Although I will say sometimes we think, well, it'll be easier to get them if I go for the low price. And that's not necessarily the truth, because you have to get to so many more people in order to still get enough people to say yes, that the revenue adds up. So there's always kind of both sides to that coin.
Yeah, and what's resonating with me is what Lisa said about it is more about the having more people have access to it. It is about being able to make an impact. It is so much about that, right? So I know, like I shared with Sherry before, like I know this is already created in the energy. It's not here in the physical form, like, because it keeps coming, and I'm in resistance to it because I haven't done it yet. But like I know that that's part of where it, like, the value of being able to get it to many people is out there.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, awesome. I love those goals. Okay, so now what we want to do is, I see our time is going faster than I thought it would. Now what we want to do is we want to turn those annual goals into what I call milestones. And the reason for milestones are having some milestones or some high points along the way to achieving those annual goals helps you to get clarity on what the priorities are first. So in order to get to milestones, the process I go through in the Planning for Profit course is we go through kind of a process where you brainstorm what are all the milestones that could possibly be there, and then you start kind of laying them out. What I wanted to do today was to just have more of a little bit of a discussion around the goals that you have. What are the milestones that come to your mind, and how would you look at sequencing them quarter by quarter? So for instance, Judy, your goal in terms of having the 9K, I'm going to stick with your 9K revenue as your freedom goal. In order for you to get to 9K, you know you're not going to be at 9K overnight. So let's just say that, well, actually, you tell me, by what quarter would you like to target being at 9K?
September 1st.
Love it. Okay, so you just declared your milestone in quarter 3 would be to hit 9K revenue in September. No, it would actually be in August. So for September 1st, right? So that becomes a milestone that Judy wants to work towards. So then when the next step we get to, which we'll talk about next time we get together, when you start looking at what are the priorities, then she can say, okay, well, if I'm going to hit 9K revenue by the month of August, then what am I going to do? What are the actions I'm going to take in my business that are going to help me get there? Well, I'm going to launch a new group program in July. and then that's going to create the revenue in July and August, right? So then she has a Q2 priority of launching her group program. And it helps you start to back into what are the actions that you need to take and the projects, the bigger projects that you need to put in place. Because one of the things that happens as an entrepreneur is we have hundreds of things that we could do. I fight this every day just as you do. It's like, okay, I want to do another challenge. I want to do a gift giveaway. I want to do another webinar. I want to do, this. I want to do that. And I have got so many things that are swirling around in my head of things that I want to do. But this allows me to say, okay, well, if I want to hit 9K revenue in August, what's the biggest driver going to be of making that happen? And what am I going to decide I'm going to focus on? Instead of swirling in the, well, I could do this or I could do that, making a decision of this is the tool that I'm going to use to achieve that milestone. Does that make sense in terms of how they start to support each other?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Lisa, you had goals of hitting 122 members?
111, but
111. Okay. And that was by when?
Well, that was my
That was your annual goal. Okay. So, and you're at 20 some right now, is that right?
I have like 33.
33. Oh, awesome. Okay. So if you're at 33 now, then what would be, so you're 33 versus 111. So that is about 70-ish, 80-ish, right? So
yeah, it was like each quarter welcome 25 more people in, or 20
Okay.
more people in. Basically, I mean, I figure it kind of comes out to being a minimum of 5 people a month.
Okay. So your
But I haven't
milestone,
built that much over. I mean, I've lost just a few and added a few. I haven't been a massive build over the
Yep.
last 4 or 5 months. I think I created it in April. So yeah, I haven't built out much since then. So yeah.
right. So your milestones may be, end March with 60 members, end June with 80 members, end September with 100, and in Q4 with 111.
Yeah.
It may be as simple as that. So milestones are a kind of a sub goal in a sense, but you also can put things on here like launch group program, the great big milestones that you have for the year. You don't want to have more than, I would say 3 is always my magic number, milestones in a quarter. And you do want to try to think through each quarter of the year, what's going to happen. So we'll have a tendency to want to have 5 milestones in Q1 because we always want to do everything right away, right? So you want to kind of think through, how am I going to sequence my year in order to make this all happen? This is making sense? And the way that you can do this is, this will be kind of your home play after today, is get out a flip chart, or like I have a mirrored closet over here, and just get some Post-it notes and start writing on the Post-it notes what your milestones could be. And then start putting those Post-it notes up on a board or up on a wall. And what you'll notice is that some of them are projects, some of them are actually not milestones, they may be more projects or priorities, and some of them are truly milestones. And save the ones that are the projects, because we're going to use them next week or next call when we start to create your annual calendar and the projects and priorities that you're going to be working on each quarter to make the milestones and the annual goals happen. That kind of hitting home. So let me show you where we're going. So the next step is going to be to create your quarterly priorities. And I'm just going to touch on this because I want to kind of have you see where I'm going. The way I look at priorities, comes from the business dashboard. You've all done the business dashboard with me, where you've got your annual goals, your marketing goals, and then you've got your projects and priorities. And it's that 3 priorities, which typically are business foundations, content development, and marketing and sales. So the marketing and sales project can also be get clients. Sometimes I just call it get clients. And then within each of those, coming up with 1 to 3 priorities of what's going to happen in that quarter in order to have you hit your milestones, which of course then adds up to hitting your annual goals. So it's all this kind of nesting thing. So we start with your annual goals that are up here, that are the broadest. Then we go into your milestones. Then we go into what are the priorities that are actually make them happen. Make sense? Okay. So between now and our next call, which is the 27th, I think it is, or 28th, somewhere in there, what I'd love to have you do is to spend some time with some Post-it notes. You can see behind Judy, she's got her Post-it notes. So she loves doing this. Spend some time with some Post-it notes and just allow yourself to think about what are all the things that I could do in 2021 in order to achieve the 3 annual goals that I established. And let yourself write down webinar and challenge and whatever comes up for you, because then you can start weeding it down. Just because you put it on a Post-it note doesn't mean you're going to do all that, right? This whole process is intended to have you think through, okay, yes, I could do these 4 different things, but what's the one that I'm really passionate about that I feel like has the highest probability of being successful, attracting those clients I want to work with, and allowing me to hit those annual goals and the milestones. Okay, questions? No? Okay, I am also going to put in the chat the link to the, oops. Zoom is not cooperating with me today. So this is the link to the revenue planner.
Mercury is retrograde.
Is it really?
Yesterday or today. Today, I think.
Okay, so I got the year in review one in here. Or did I? Yes, I got the year in review in. We got the freedom goal in. And I got the, okay, so I think I got all the templates in there. I will send you an email too with the links just so you have them in an email. But so everybody clear on what we're going to do between now and the next time we meet? You're going to take those annual goals. You're going to do some brainstorming of what are all of the milestones and or projects and priorities that I think, quote unquote, I want to put in place in 2021. Get them up on a wall or a board. And then just start, like, literally draw your X, draw your 4 corners, and start moving them around to where you think that they belong. And then when we get together 2 weeks from now, what we're going to do is we're going to start looking at those priorities and looking at, can I pull all this together? And am I reasonably going to be able to do everything I have, for instance, in quarter 1? Okay. And by the way, this sheet here, on the quarterly priorities, typically I don't do anything typed, if you will, until I'm totally done with my Post-it process. So you don't need to have anything filled out for this for next time. Just, you know, if you want to, you can take a picture of your Post-its and share that on our next call. Okay, questions? Was that helpful? Kind of getting the process started? Anything big coming up for anybody? Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got about half an hour left. Let's jump into other questions that are coming up. Priorities. Laura's got a launch this week. Judy's doing some follow-up for her launch that just happened. Any questions coming up? Lisa, you're getting ready.
Sure. Do you have an email sequence, a welcome email sequence for new clients?
Yes. You haven't gotten that book yet. So I can, I'll do what I did last time for you. I'll give you send you the onboarding sequence for new clients, and I'll give it to you virtually.
Thank you.
I'm write a note of that. So Lisa, did you decide to put off a launch? You were shaking your head. Okay.
Yeah, I decided to wait. I didn't have space. I'm going to launch November 1st. I mean, January 11th. 1/11 feels like the right thing to launch. I honestly just didn't have space. But I just came to me that I want to focus this last quarter on a list building exercise, like some kind of a like navigating, intense times as a highly sensitive person, like a 5-day opposite of a challenge, because challenge doesn't resonate with me.
Right. Yeah. No, I
But
agree.
opportunity does. Something, I don't know, we'll get fancy about what we call it, but I'm like, oh, why don't I do a list build, some nurturing something during that time, and I'll have some more promotion in January. So that I'm thinking out loud.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. The one just caution I want to tell you is that the 5-day opportunity can, and we always go as simple as possible, and there's a lot of moving parts with the 5-day program. So I don't want you to replace one thing you didn't think you had space for with another that you don't have space for.
Gotcha. Maybe that becomes a 5-day opportunity that leads into the launch of the program.
It could be.
in
It could be
January.
a 5-day opportunity. I love that. Is a great way to launch a program or product, because that you've got naturally highly engaged people that you then invite into the new program.
But I feel like I need something to sink my teeth into in this last quarter.
Okay.
So, I don't know. That's a list build opportunity.
So, Lisa, one of the things that I remember that you did, right, was that you did some channeling once a week, right? Like you were able to do something, and that actually built people who were following you when we first went into the COVID. Am I remembering that right?
I do a lot of lives on my Facebook, if that's on my Facebook group, if that's which is building nicely. And I do some live channeling on there. Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Yes. So it like when I hear you talk about that, I hear you talk about that with ease and flow, and the messages come and people invite people and your group grows organically.
Yes.
And so what if that's the nurturing of yourself and also the nurturing of building more people within that group before you launch?
Yeah, that feels good.
Building the group versus building email list, and you're asking for
Yeah.
email when they sign up. You made that.
When they sign up for my Facebook group, but I will say I get probably every 5th or 6th person gives me their email.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could actually shift into having it be something that you do via Zoom versus Facebook Live, and they get to opt in to experience it. It's open to everyone, but they get to opt in.
Yeah.
Yes, I do that monthly for the most part. I do a live channel monthly. And then I usually offer entry into my portal as kind of the funnel. But I'll tell you where I'm moving to is, I mean, last time I did one of those, I had like 187 people sign up, which is awesome. But I'm going to move, like I'm going to do an 1111 channel. And I'm going to charge $11 for it. I'm kind of tired of giving away everything. And I'm like, if it's $11 to join, even if I have half the people sign up, even if I have 20 people sign up, at least there's an energetic exchange, and then I can still offer them entry into the portal.
Right.
But I'm kind of done doing everything for free.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The other thing, let's see, there's something popped in my head. The other thing is that in order to get more people to give you their email address when they sign in for the group, the other way to do that is to offer something of value in return for it. So, so instead of just saying, would you like to be added to my list, which I know you don't use exactly those words, you say, would you like me to send you my XYZ via email? And then I always include a comment that, like in parentheses, say something like, you will be added to my community, but you can unsubscribe at any time, or something like that, so that they do know they're giving you permission to add you to their community, add them to your community. But that can improve the number of people that give you, particularly, for you, they love you could give them a past channeling or something.
I could give them a meditation. So then I would have my assistant like keep an eye on that and then auto generate that to them. I mean,
yep.
Okay.
Yeah, because she still has to approve them. Is she approving the?
I'm doing it right now, but
okay. So just when that may be something that this would be the time to switch it over to her. And then that way, when she does it, do you take, I'm curious, do you take a picture of the opt-ins?
I do screenshot them,
Okay, perfect.
but yeah, I screenshot them, but mostly because then I can enter the email later, less to be in the validity like you do, Laura. But
Yeah, it's a
the
good
power of it.
habit to be in anyway. And so that way you could do it and then just send her the snips or put the snips in one place or something. And then she goes in once a week and sends out the gifts or whatever it looks like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Love it. What else is coming up?
So one of my clients, a one-on-one client, 6 months, she asked for a break in the middle because of family situations, and another one a while ago for health reasons.
Okay.
So how do I check in or ask them about whether they want to resume or things like that?
Great question. So the best way to do it is to gain agreement when you go on, when the pause starts, basically, as best you can. So if they say, okay, well, I've got, you know, health reasons, then saying, okay, well, you know, are you thinking you want to pause for a month or longer than a month, or kind of get clarity, and then get agreement that she said, well, I think I need 2 months. Then set it up so that it starts charging her 2 months later, and then send an email before that. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that to keep in touch in between, because people, you know, you will lose people when that happens. And I'm, you know, a pretty firm believer that things happen for a reason. And I mean, if somebody is taken ill, I'm not going to say, well, gee, sorry, you can't get out of the program. It's just not who I am. So, you know, just know that you might lose people. Just stay in touch with them, stay engaged, send them things in between that might be helpful, is always a good thing to do. Continue to add value, and gain agreement up front would be the big things I would say.
Right, of when they'd
When
like
you're
to.
going to resume. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if somebody said they wanted to pause today, then say, okay, well, so your payment was running on the 15th of the month. So we'll pause the payment for October and November, and your next payment will be December 15th. And then confirm that in an email, by the way. You always want to try to confirm it.
Yeah, I hadn't done the take their credit card yet up until now.
Okay.
So it's been monthly.
They said yes and then want to pause before they even start.
Oh, no. I mean, I had been invoicing her once a month.
Oh, okay. And she was paying, so you didn't have her on recurring billing?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So going forward, that would be the
yeah, that will help. Recurring billing it's so much easier for you and for your client. I mean, people don't want to have to deal with getting an invoice in the mail, and psychologically what it does is it makes them re-question their purchase every month.
Right.
And you really don't want to do that.
Yep. So, okay, going forward.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely. Very cool. Anything else, Judy, in terms of follow-ups? Are you feeling good about the follow-ups you're doing?
It's very odd. I'm perplexed because I called everyone who registered but didn't attend.
Mm-hmm.
And then I followed up with an email, and it's like crickets.
Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it is what happens these days. You might try social media. You might try reaching out to them on Facebook if you're friends. You might try texting if you're comfortable, if you know them at all. I don't typically text people if I don't know them at all.
Yeah, no.
It's just that's personal.
Right. No, I think I'm going to let them go, because I've made 2 efforts. Yeah, I think I'm going to go.
The email that you sent, was there any urgency element to it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like insider pricing ends. Yeah.
And that's already passed, the insider pricing?
No, I extended it to this Friday.
Okay, so then there is an opportunity to send out one last email. that basically says, you know, I'm just checking in, just wanted to remind you that the insider pricing is ending tomorrow. If there are any questions I can answer, I'm here. And just keep it kind of short and sweet. But if they were kind of on the fence, sometimes it can tip people over.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, other questions? Laura, you're feeling good about the emails?
Yeah, I feel good about the emails. The thing that I haven't figured out yet is the whole billing thing, because when I did the Stripe thing, it doesn't allow me to set it for 6 months. It like goes unlimited, which is like, doesn't feel like that's right. So I think I'm missing something. So I hope that Nicole has more information, because I have to figure out in the process, I'm talking to them on the phone, so I can ask for their credit card information, or like my original idea was I would send them a link. So I have to figure out what does that link look like, because it looks like everybody's moving away from sending links and more embedding it in pages and websites. So that's where it's like, oh, so then is there another landing page, another lead page that's the payment page that I
Well,
send people to once they say yes?
There is that option in lead pages that links with Stripe, but it means upgrading from your $37 plan to $67.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I don't think isn't Stripe, I'm not sure I'm paying for Stripe.
No, you don't pay for Stripe. You'd have to pay more for lead pages.
For lead pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lead pages doesn't offer order forms in the base subscription. So
Got
if
it.
you want order forms that link with Stripe, you have to pay $67 a month instead of $37.
Mm-hmm. And email systems don't link with Stripe in general, do they?
No, not in general.
it's
Like a Kajabi does, but that's a more of an all-in-one system. Or Teresa Campbell uses like the Cultivating Sales Pro, you know, that's more of an all-in-one system. ClickFunnels is the best one that integrates with Stripe to do order forms. But because you're so invested in lead pages and you know it so well, I would recommend upgrading to lead pages before you go to ClickFunnels, because you're just learning a new system.
Yeah. Well, plus there's also the whole argument about like, this is still a little bit of an experiment to see how it works. Yeah. And like, how much do I spend getting it going versus, whatever other solution is out there. And the PayPal one let me create it, but then it also was like, okay, and put it on your website. So I'm sure I'm missing something. So I'm sure when.
Can you say that one again? It let you create it, but what?
Right. So when I created a subscription in PayPal,
right,
it let me create it. It said like, oh, by the way, the customer can cancel the subscription at any time. And then it also gave me code to put on a website. It didn't give me a link to be able to send to someone. So that's the part I haven't figured out like how to do.
So yeah, so there is, I'm 99% sure there is a way to do a link. And I don't know.
I've done it before. I just think they've upgraded it. And so, So that's where my gap is right now.
Yeah. So I would definitely put Nicole on that.
Yeah. And then the only other thing the email part of it's done. And then, my plan was to have Nicole help me turn like the emails into social media posts.
Yep.
So that I could post it within the group. And then we talked about like hosting 2 different conversations, and my like the rooms feature for Facebook still does not exist in my account.
That is the strangest thing.
Which is really frustrating.
Do you know Lisa McCardle, do you have rooms as an option in your Facebook group?
Do I have what? Rooms?
Facebook rooms.
I do, but I haven't used them. I don't know much about them.
Yeah. Laura had it and she tried using it a couple times, then it's disappeared.
Let me go look.
It's not an option in her group now. It was still an option in the Results Club group when I looked the last time. And Facebook is so difficult to get a hold of for any help.
They're the worst right now.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they are really the worst right now. So if
I can't get Zoom rooms, then do I, host Zoom? I mean, if I can't get Facebook rooms, do I just post that I'm hosting some sort of a Zoom discussion and see who comes to that?
I think that probably makes the most sense, particularly because you're going to do your mastermind via Zoom anyway. So it would
Mm.
just be the same tool that you're going to use for the mastermind. And then you can get people to opt in for it, and you know who's interested. You've got people to follow up with.
So I've got an email stream going. So then I get the Facebook group stream going. And the emails don't actually reference doing any kind of a group. So is that a different email that goes out to say, hey, if you want to, if this is on your mind, come join us. If your child just came out to you and you're
Yep.
struggling with the loss of it, this is what we're talking about tonight or
Yep.
tomorrow
So
or whenever.
and these are ones where you could do these pretty quick turnaround. I mean, you don't need
Yeah.
to do 3 emails to invite people.
Right. No, I could just do one, right? With
Yeah.
what the topic is.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's 2 in one day. If you're doing them, are you thinking about doing them early evening?
It was. Yes.
So do one in the morning and do one at 4 o'clock in the
Same
afternoon.
day.
But you don't have rooms
Yeah.
either. That's interesting. Lisa's saying
Yeah,
she
you don't have rooms either. I wonder if they took it out of private groups.
could be. The day that you lost it, I checked and I still had it in the inner circle group, but I haven't looked at it recently. That is strange. Facebook. I mean, they take things in and out all the time. So yeah, I would do that, Lisa or Laura, sorry, and just time them maybe so that they're in between your other emails.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you could
Yeah, so
you've got like 4 emails, but they were running, different days. Or were you okay, by the way, with the sequence that I sent you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That made total sense to me. And I added in the second one at the end
At the end,
to
yeah.
be like, I'm holding your spot, but just for 5 more hours.
I love it. I love it. That urgency is so important. It is, and it needs to be real urgency. It's not fake urgency that you're making up, but it needs to be real, which can be time is a great one. Number of people that have spots is a great one. And pricing, discounts on pricing. Those are the 3 best urgency tools.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry, question about the sales page and my website. So I have a website and then a separate sales page.
Yep.
When you have a sales page, do you copy the same content onto your website, or do you just link?
No, I don't copy the same content because your website, of course, has now the navigation, and on a sales page, you don't want navigation.
Right.
So what you can do on your website is have like a programs page or something like that, and have a short description with a link.
Okay.
That's for more information. Click here, and then that goes to your sales page. That's on ClickFunnels in your case.
Okay.
Yep. Cool. And eventually, you'll have a sales page for most of your programs,
Right.
and you can click out to that from your website.
Okay. Click out to it. Okay.
Yeah.
And not provide
Not
the.
housed on your website. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Last question. Yeah, Lisa.
Quick little question. And I know, I always ask the question 17 times until I get the answers again. So thank you for your patience. I want to create a new opt-in, and I know we talked about this. We talked about the 5-part kind of series, right? The 5-page, like 5 tools.
Mm-hmm.
What was the format of that again? Wasn't it like?
Typically, if you're doing a 5-day opportunity to use your
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just a straight up opt-in on my website.
Okay.
Like, I know that you had created something with Teresa where she had like 5 tools for something, and then it wasn't formatted.
That was just a PDF. So she had her sole purpose guide, and it was 5 tips, but it was all contained within one PDF. So
Okay.
for you, if you were going to do like 5 tools for the sensitive.
That's what I want. Highly
Yeah.
sensitive person navigating anxiety.
Yeah. So that would be more of a PDF.
Okay.
And I would look at in the to make sure you have Results Accelerator, because you weren't part of the True Accelerator because you were before that. I'll make sure you have access to the Results Accelerator because in the book on free gift, creating your free gift, there's some links there to a couple of free gifts that I have that could be more of a format for you. It uses PowerPoint to create it, which is usually pretty easy for people. but it has a little bit of content on each page. So it's not as dense in terms of words. And it might be a format for you to use.
Well, I think like I said, my assistant restructured that ebook in such a beautiful way with
Perfect.
pictures. And so what I'm seeing is just like, one tool per page, but just lots of beautiful graphics.
Yep.
But
I have a sample, Lisa, that I can send you that I just created.
that would be
Yeah. In
so
fact,
awesome.
yeah. But Judy just created that. I think she showed it actually on one of our calls. Yeah, that'd be great, Judy. Send her that.
I'll put my email in the chat here.
Perfect.
Thank you.
And you're exactly on the right track. You want it to be, if you do 5 pages, 1 page for each one of the tools, an intro page and an offer page at the end, inviting them to the next step, which in your case is going to be the portal, right? Then a cover page. So you've got 8 pages total. Now, when you see
intro,
sorry.
Can I do a video as my intro?
Well, it's going to be on a PDF, so you can't really do a video in the PDF.
Got it.
You could include a link to a video, but then it's going to take them out of the PDF.
Okay. Say it again. Intro.
Intro, 1 page for each of your 5 tips, so 5 pages of content. And then your offer page. So offering them the next step. I know you have this. This was from, I think this was actually clear back from your Inner Circle days, Lisa. The free gift book. You know what I'm talking about? I'll let me see if I can get to it.
I get confused with all the different portal pieces. Sorry. You tell me where to go and I'll go there.
I will find it while we're finishing up here.
Okay.
But it has the whole layout of the copy too.
Perfect. That's all I need. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, anything else? Questions, comments? Okay. Go be brilliant. And Lisa, we're staying on to meet Heidi, right?
Yes. Thank you. I'm going to run to the restroom.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
So do you want to add your email and